Hey everybody, this is Josh from V-Spot Vapes, also known as V-Spot Josh. Welcome to follow me on Twitter and Instagram to see all my crazy, awesome social media updates about vaping. Here we have on the vape table, if you will, we have the Sigelei 150 watt box mod. And I've been using this for the last few weeks. As you can see, I've got two actually here because I stole V-Spot Joel's for the video. Right now I'm running the Arctic by Horizon Tech on here with the 0.2 ohm BTDC coil head with some Koval Vapes Teddy's Gram e-liquid. It looks like, I think it's a 3070, and I will verify that. The mixture here, actually no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it's a 3070, so 30 PG, 70 VG. So we'll do a quick vape. I'm running it at that 76 watts. Maybe a little bit over the operating range limit, but I like to test the limits. Yeah, that's vaping nice. And I do like the Teddy's Gram. That's pretty tasty. It kind of reminds me of the little Teddy Grams I took to school. My school lunch my mom would put in there, and I would always trade them off for something better. But, you know, it's good. I like it. So let's talk about the box mod here. This is got an operating range from 10 to 150 watts. It has, you can fire down to as low as 1 volt up to 8.4. It has reverse battery protection in there as well as low resistance protection. One of the cool things is that it has a magnetic removable door that's recessed on the back for the battery compartment. This will hold two 18650 batteries. You're going to want to run flat tops in here, no button tops. There's no room for that craziness inside this mod. They won't fit. I've tried. And you know, it's nice. The magnetic door, this is something I wish that was on some of the earlier box mods I started using that were higher wattage output, and having to unscrew it and screw it back in.
IPv3.
The IPv3, yes. IPv2, 2S, all of those. But it's nice because it fits in. It's all aluminum construction, and the machining on it is really clean. It's smooth. The buttons are nice, tactile. The fire button is a little less tactile than the power up, power down, but that's not really a bad thing. It's just kind of, you know, it's a softer depression, I would say. And it's smooth. There's no sharp corners or edges. Well, it's got a little bit of an edge, but it's beveled. So overall, the size is nice. It fits in your hands pretty smoothly, kind of like, I don't know, any of your other standard box mods. The other thing too is it's got vents on the bottom, and this does stay quite cool. I've been vaping pretty much at around 80 watts with a lot of the, well, 70 to 80 watts, and it stays really cool. It does not overheat. We also recommend that when you're, running batteries in parallel, you have two 18650s, that you keep them paired together. You charge them at the same time, and you kind of designate those batteries for your specific mod. That way that they kind of stay even, and when they're paired together, you're going to get the best performance out of these. If you're swapping batteries around a lot, you can tend to have some. You can damage it. You can damage it. So we recommend use, whatever two 18650s you get, keep them with that mod. It does come with the silicone condom or sleeve or cover or whatever you like to call it. I like to think that it's a condom because it's for protection.
Does it prevent pregnancy?
I don't think it'll prevent pregnancy, so I wouldn't use it for any kind of, funny business. But I do use it quite a bit, especially because sometimes I'll store this in my bag, I put it in my car, and whipping the car around, crazy turns and stuff, it keeps it from getting banged up. So that's kind of a nice little feature that it does come with that. And it's just a silicone. It's not exactly like sexy. It doesn't make the mod look cool. It kind of cheapens a little bit, but it does protect your device. This is a sub $100 box mod, which is great because it's affordable, and you're going to get a lot of functionality and usage out of this. So it'll run, gosh, just about anything you put on here. It fires down to 0.1 ohm up to 3. So you can run your RDAs and whatever clearmisers, and it has an adjustable 510 pin connection, spring loaded, so everything's going to fit flush. There's not going to be any gaps in there. So that's another neat feature. It does feature the Yeehee SX330. Is it the 330 or the 350? Yeah, the 330 chipset. And you can check the version of your chip. Go ahead and actually take my cover off. As you can see, I've been running the MXJO batteries paired together. I'm going to take one out, and if you're curious, if you pick one of these up, if you press and hold the power button down as you insert the battery, hopefully the camera picks up, it'll tell you Yeehee SX330 version 8.05. So a little bit of a trick if you're curious when you get this to know what the firmware version is. Again, all you got to do is press and hold the power button down as you insert the second battery, and it will flash that up on the screen after the Sigelei logo. So it's pretty basic controls, nothing that you're probably not already used to. You know, up and down for your power, and 5 clicks to turn it on. If I actually press it 5 times, flashes the Sigelei logo. And it has kind of like this little grid on here, and up in the upper left-hand side, it's going to read your wattage. And of course, your up and down is 1 click to go up by 1 watt or down by 1 watt, and it will read the appropriate voltage out to the right. And I got to press that, and then you.
So I think below 40 or 50 watts, it does it in 0.1 watt.
It does. It does it in 0.1 watt increments, and then after a certain threshold, it goes up to just 1 watt at a time. So in the lower left-hand corner, it gives you your battery meter readout. Now I'll tell you this can be a little bit frustrating in the beginning, because when it gets to 26%, it stops working, which is a good thing because it means it's dropping below the safe voltage range for your batteries, and you really need to take them out and put them on the charger. So if you roll out and it's at 40%, you're probably going to want to put some fresh batteries in there, because you're going to be a little annoyed about 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later when you can't vape on your device anymore. And then to the right of that is your ohm reading for your resistance. So this was reading 0.2. As I said earlier, I got the 0.2 ohm coil head in here for the Arctic, so that seems to be pretty accurate, or at least accurate enough to what's reading on the box. The one thing I wish they would have put on here is a ohm reading out to your 2 decimal places, because sometimes it's nice to know if you're on the upper or lower end of a range, especially if you're running an RDA and you're using the mod, as oftentimes a lot of people do if you don't have an ohm reader, is to know, are you running at 0.19, or are you reading at 0.21 or 0.29? You won't know, so you kind of just have to maybe use an ohm reader to know where you're at, but you know, it's kind of nitpicky stuff at that point. Really, the only two downsides that I've had an issue with is, one, the percentage of the battery. Maybe they could have adjusted that better with the firmware and having a better reading. Obviously, it would mean that the battery is going to drop faster, but at least it would be accurate, because to me, 26% is 26%, meaning I still have 26% of my energy to use, when in reality, you don't. That's your 0.
You know what else I noticed along those same lines? When you first put 2 fully charged batteries in, at least on mine, it reads 44% until you hit the fire button.
Really?
Yeah, and then it'll bump up to 100%,
so
because I thought there was something wrong with my batteries. I was like, I have 2 brand new batteries in this thing. What the hell is going on?
That's a little weird. So if you spot Joel's having a problem where he put brand new batteries in there, and the first time he fires, it says 44% on the battery, but then it would jump up to 100. That's kind of strange. Maybe it's like calibrating them, or it's, you know, who knows exactly what it's doing.
It could just be a firmware issue that'll get an update, but there's no USB.
Well, that's the other thing is, I don't know how to do the firmware update other than maybe sending it in, because there's no data ports on here, unless you have to unscrew it, and maybe there's a cable or something.
Your warranty if you unscrew that, I believe.
Yeah, so it's a little. There's a couple little things that are just kind of like head scratchers a little bit. But overall, I wouldn't say they're, you know, deal breakers by any means. I definitely have really enjoyed having this for being able to increase the power to run some of these new coil heads that I've been running in these clearomisers that require, you know, a lot more than 60 watts, which is hitting the ceiling on my S-Class ESX Mini. So, you know, overall, I think that most people are going to not really have anything out of the realm, unless you want a chipset like a DNA chipset that Evolve that's going to do temperature control. This isn't going to do that for you. But for everything else, I would almost say this one mod could pretty much do just about anything you need it to. It's going to have the ranges from your voltage. from 1 to 8.4, wattage from 10 to 150. It's going to run resistances from 0.1 up to 3. I mean, that pretty much, you know, it has capability for 2 batteries, so you're going to get some pretty good battery life out of this. I'm just really happy with it, and especially for the price point. I've spent, you know, money on other mods that didn't have half the, you know, range that this did, and, you know, it's got the form factor of almost like an IPv2. Might be slightly wider, just a little bit, but I mean, that's kind of the form factor, the size of it. The dimensions on this thing are 103 millimeters by 57 by 23 millimeters. So you're going to be able to fit most of your, you know, clear misers, your RDAs are, you know, 22 millimeter on average. So they're all going to fit nice on there, and they're not going to be hanging over the edge. So that's another cool feature. So yeah, other than that, I mean, there's not really a whole lot else to talk about it. You know, it's your standard 150 watt box mod, and I've been, you know, just killing it.
And if I can say, it is accurate on that power output. You know,
it is accurate on the power output.
Like the Cloudbird T8, if you run it at 120 watts, it'll really read it like 80 watts.
Yeah.
A line tester.
We've put a line tester, and this is the line tester. We have a couple we've been using. This one's the Oakley, which it's called the Haka tester. So it basically, you can put this on, and then you put your atomizer on top, and it will measure voltage drop. So we've been using this on a lot of different mods, as well as some other testers, just to kind of see where things are at. And this Sigelei 150 watt has been very accurate with the power output and the voltage, and it is reading it accurately all the way through. So you can know, like, you're really actually staying within the consistent output you're looking for, which is going to ultimately give you the best vape that you're looking for. And that's really what all of this is about, is like trying to just find the best vaping experience for your lifestyle. And I say lifestyle because some days you drip, some days you might need a clear miser or some sort of RTA to, you know, take on your commute to work or wherever, school or whatever you're doing. And this mod seems like a great one, because if you got 2 fresh batteries in there, you're kind of good to go. I don't stress about, like, you know, keeping an extra battery and, you know, a sleeve in my pocket, because I know if I'm running a high output, you know, clear miser on my Yeehee, I'm gonna have to probably change that battery in like an hour or 2, depending upon if I'm chain vaping or not. So I kind of feel like a little bit more, like, I got a little more flexibility using a dual 18650 mod, and I also like knowing that I've got that nice range to work with all the way up to 150, which I haven't ran anything over 100 on here. But you could, you know, if you're building something, if you're building low enough and you're one of those crazy, you know, super sub-ohm RDA builders, you know, you're going to love this thing. So overall, I would definitely recommend this as a buy. It's probably, in my opinion, I would say the best box mod for the money on the market. The best regulated box mod for the money on the market. You're going to get the most features, form factor, and versatility for under $100. You cannot go wrong. And with the Yeehee SX330 chipset, it's made by a company that, you know, is really, really known well in the industry for making incredible chipsets that really regulate and manage the voltage drop really well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can head over if you want to check these out. We've got them in stock over at vspotvapes.com. If you have any input, would love to hear some comments and feedback. If you've had any experiences, good or bad, with the Sigelei box mod, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and as always, vape on.